What was 343's last chance with Halo? What was it, Halo 5? Was it Halo Infinite? Or are we extending that last chance to Halo 7 now? I don't want to say I'm surprised by this, because I'm not surprised at all, but I've been seeing people talk about Halo 7, or whatever the next Halo game is, as if this is 343's last chance, for real this time. And it's not like I'm shocked to see people talking like this. It's just funny to see, because, I mean, ever since Halo Reach, I remember people saying Halo 4, that's Halo's last chance. And then Halo 5 is 343's last chance. And Halo Infinite, that's really their last chance this time. And now I'm seeing it again with the next Halo game. Oh, but this time for real. This time, like, this is definitely their last chance this time. Jesus Christ. I don't want to say Halo can never be back on top. I'm not going to say it could never be as successful as it once was, because it could. That's possible. If I say it couldn't, then that just sets myself up to be wrong. Do I think it's highly unlikely that Halo will ever reach the heights that it did back in the original trilogy? Yeah, but is it possible to get back to that? Yes, it's possible. But if Halo 4 wasn't Halo's last chance, and Halo 5 wasn't the last chance, and Halo Infinite was the last chance, then what the fuck makes people think that this next Halo game will be the last chance? And I'm not claiming that the people talking about Halo 7 as if that's the make it or break it game, that is Halo's final chance. I'm not saying those people said the same thing about previous Halo games. You know, I'm not accusing them of that. But like I said, it's just funny because I've seen this type of language for multiple Halo games now, for over a decade. And I get that many people just want a good Halo game. I get it. But sometimes you might just have to call a spade a spade. Again, I'm not saying Halo can never recover. I am not saying that. But I think it's very unlikely. And if Halo 4, 5, and Infinite were not Halo's last chance, then I certainly don't think the next Halo game will be either. And if I had to choose a time where it truly was Halo's last chance, if I had to pick something, I'd pick Halo 4. I don't think that Halo 4 was Halo's last chance, but it definitely seemed like a pivotal moment for the Halo franchise. Like, I remember back in the day playing Halo Reach. Halo Reach is a great game, but there were some things about it that were pretty bad. And I remember thinking to myself, the next Halo game better be good. Like, if Halo 4 is as good or even better than Halo 1, 2, and 3, I think there's a good chance Halo will be back to what it once was. But if it's not good, that could mean the end for Halo. And when I say the end, again, I don't mean that Halo is just done and over with, no chance of revival, it's GG, game over. Like, that's not what I mean. I just meant that if Halo 4 wasn't a good Halo game, that could be a major setback for the Halo franchise. And, well, the way things played out, it seems like that was the beginning of that huge setback. Like, since the Bungie games, I don't think Halo has reached those heights again. And when I say that, I'm not talking about sales. I'm not talking about peak population on a game. I just mean since the Bungie games, I don't think Halo has ever matched or exceeded that level of quality of a game. And I don't think Halo gets the praise that it used to. That's what I mean by not reaching those same heights. Now, back on October 6th of last year at the Halo World Championship, that is where 343 announced that they're rebranding as Halo Studios, and they released their A New Dawn trailer, and they talked about how future Halo projects will be built using Unreal Engine 5. And just to get this out of the way now, yes, I obviously understand they are Halo Studios now, not 343 Industries. I'm still going to keep calling them 343 Industries. That's what I'm used to. That's what they've been for so long. Doesn't mean I'll never call them Halo Studios, but right now I'm just calling them 343, which is similar to how Twitter is now X, but a lot of people still refer to it as Twitter. And to be honest, I actually like the name 343 Industries more than Halo Studios. I totally understand why they rebranded. Like, I think that makes sense. It does make sense because the name 343 had a horrible track record, and that name has become tainted. But 343's horrible track record aside, if we compare the name 343 Industries to Halo Studios, I like 343 Industries more. For one, Halo Studios, it's a little bit too on the nose. I like how 343 Industries is more of a subtle nod to Halo, and I also find it easier to refer to them as 343. I mean, it's quicker to say, that's 3 syllables. Halo Studios, that's 5 syllables. Now, 343 Industries, 6 syllables. But with 343 Industries, I can shorten it to 343. If I shorten Halo Studios to just Halo, well, then it can be very unclear if I'm talking about the studio or if I'm talking about the actual game. And I'm not acting like this is a huge deal. I'm not just trying to find things to complain about. That's not what it is. But that is something I thought of, and I just wanted to mention it. Now, the current mainline Halo game is Halo Infinite, which has been out for over 3 years now. And a while back, we got the news that 343 is scaling back support for Halo Infinite with smaller updates, and they're looking forward and working on future Halo projects. And it's still crazy to me to think about how there was a 6-year gap in between Halo 5 and Halo Infinite, and then the game comes out, it's dog shit, it's broken, missing a ton of content. This is a live service Halo game, and I think you could argue that the live service support for that game was pretty shit, and it just feels like they moved on from that game faster than they should have. Like, it just felt like, here's Halo Infinite, game's broken, it's dog shit, unfinished, and then they worked on improving it over time, adding the content that should have been there at launch. They finally got the game into a state that was much better than the way the game launched. And then it just seemed like, all right, we're scaling back support for Infinite. We're looking to the future now, which I'm not saying that's the wrong move, but given how long the wait was for Halo Infinite, and this is a live service Halo game, and it's Halo, it's a big AAA franchise like Halo, and I see what other games do with their live service, it just seems like they moved on faster than I thought they would have. And I really do wonder how successful Halo Infinite actually was financially. Like, the campaign wasn't free, but it was on Game Pass, and then the multiplayer was free, and yeah, the game had microtransactions, but a lot of the store items were dog shit. Eventually, they got some better items in there, like the Master Chief models, but a lot of people stopped playing Halo Infinite, so the player base for the game hasn't even been that large compared to previous Halo games and compared to other games. So I really do wonder, how much revenue do they really generate from Halo Infinite? People will point out how there's some players that will buy a lot of those items in the store, but even then, how much money did this game really make? Like, with everything I just mentioned, was Halo Infinite, like, as profitable of a game as previous Halo games? Was it anywhere close? I'm not claiming it wasn't, but I think it's a fair question to ask. One of the rumors I've seen circulating around is that a Halo CE remake of sorts is in the works. There's been rumors that it's campaign only. I think there's been rumors that the game would have sprint. I've seen several unconfirmed reports about the next Halo game. But if it is true that they are working on some kind of Halo CE remake or reboot, I've even seen people refer to it as a remaster. Personally, I don't think it would just be a straight remaster, like similar to the Halo CE remaster we already have. I don't think they would just take the exact game and just enhance the visuals. I know the Halo CE remaster we have now was pretty shit. I don't see 343 looking at their CE remaster and being like, well, it's not a good remaster, so let's do it again and do it right this time. I don't see them doing that. I could see them doing like a remake or a reboot, though. I'm typically not a fan of reboots. I won't say I'll never enjoy a reboot, but when you already have an established, well-known successful, good IP like Halo, I don't like the idea of taking something like that and rebooting it. Like, if there's an IP out there that already exists, whether it's a game, a movie, or some other piece of media, but it's not very good, a lot of people don't know about it, or maybe it is good, but I just haven't seen it, and that IP gets rebooted, then that is something I absolutely could really enjoy. But I just don't like the idea of taking things that are already very good and successful and rebooting them. Like, I know Halo's not as good as it used to be. The later Halo games have been shit, but we're talking about Halo CE, one of the good Halo games. If we're talking about remaking Halo 4, 5, Infinite, the 343 era games, I'll give you the green light on that one. Now, if the next Halo game truly is a Halo CE remake or reboot or whatever you want to call it, I'm not thrilled about that. Like, it's not that I think a better CE couldn't be made. I mean, Halo CE came out in 2001. It's a long time ago. There's a lot of things that Bungie couldn't do at the time because of tech limitations, time limitations. And, it might be cool to see a Halo CE with better visuals that are faithful to the original. And maybe if all the same events from the original Halo CE still took place in a Halo CE remake, but with added things in between, maybe more enemies, maybe other objectives, maybe the play spaces within the campaign have more depth, there's larger areas, there's more to do. I'm not saying that would be terrible. I just don't think that's something Halo needs. I don't think there's a huge demand for that, and I think there's other Halo games that 343 could make that people want more. I'm not saying they would do a good job making those games, but them at least attempting to make a different type of game that more people want might still be the better play than trying to make a remake of the original Halo. Again, we don't even know if that's in the works. As of now, it's just rumors, but I wanted to discuss it anyway. And these rumors could very well turn out to be untrue. Maybe 343 is working on some other type of Halo game. And one thing I wonder is, maybe they're not even trying to make a traditional Halo game. Like for the CE remake, one of the rumors is that it won't have multiplayer, like it'll just be campaign only. That's not a traditional mainline Halo game. And the Halo studio head, Pierre Hintz, he talked about changing the recipe of how they make Halo games. And I'm not trying to read into that too much, but what exactly does that mean? Does he mean like change the recipe that was producing dogshit Halo games, like Halo 4, 5, and Infinite? Or does he mean change the recipe of a traditional Halo game altogether and give us something that is completely different? Or maybe he just means the switch to Unreal Engine 5. And I think there's a good chance he was referring to the switch to Unreal Engine 5, but I don't know for sure. And some people might want 343 to do something completely different instead of giving us a traditional Halo game. They might feel that there's no way 343 can get a traditional Halo game right, so let them just do whatever they want. Do something else. Maybe try a different formula. And I get that, but how I feel about it is you're making a Halo game. A lot of people want a traditional mainline Halo game. If they want to do something different with a spin-off that isn't taking the place of a mainline Halo game, I'm cool with that. Or maybe because of the spin-off that they're working on, that pushes the next mainline Halo game further out. I might still be okay with that. But if Halo games are going to continue to be produced, I don't like the idea of saying, hey, we can't do traditional Halo, we suck at it, so we're going to keep making Halo, but we're going to make it way different. I don't like the idea of that. And it's no secret that Halo Infinite isn't as popular as previous Halo games, and the player base for it isn't great. And there's a chance that 343 looks at Halo Infinite and how that game has performed, and they might think that people just don't like traditional Halo anymore. They might actually believe that. But if they concluded that from a game as dog ass as Halo Infinite was, and still is, then they're fucking idiots. Like, we shouldn't be releasing a game as unfinished and broken as Halo Infinite was, and then concluding that people just don't like traditional Halo anymore. I mean, there's not a ton of people playing. I guess they just don't like it. I guess they want something else. Or maybe it's just because you released a dog shit game. Maybe it's just that. Now, I'm not claiming that if 343 were to release a good, complete, traditional, classic Halo game, that Halo would return to its former glory and be as successful as it was back in the day with the original trilogy. I'm not saying that. Especially now, considering how long Halo has been in the situation that it is in now. Now, back in 2012, back when Halo 4 released, if Halo 4 was a good, classic Halo game, then I think there is a really good chance that, at least at that time, that Halo would not have fallen off like it did. But now, considering that Halo has been shit for so long, I think it's going to be much harder for Halo to become as successful as it once was. Now, like I mentioned, back in October of last year, when 343 announced that they're rebranding as Halo Studios, they also mentioned future Halo projects being built using Unreal Engine 5. Now, I can see why it might be beneficial for 343 to switch to Unreal Engine 5 for future Halo games because of the advanced tech and it could streamline the development process. I get it, but there are definitely concerns that people have with Halo being built using Unreal Engine 5. Like, some people wonder, myself included, how will the game feel? Will it still feel like Halo? Will the physics be similar to what we're used to in a Halo game? People have also raised concerns about the visuals. Like, you can produce some really good visuals with Unreal Engine 5, but will Halo still look like Halo? Will it still have that Halo charm? And so far, from what I've seen from the visuals in that A New Dawn video, I wasn't thrilled. Like, yeah, I can see the level of detail there. Like, some of the environments look cool, I get it. But some of them, the models just looked so off to me. Like, with these models of the Elites and Master Chief, they look kind of like plastic toys to me. And I've seen other people express that same feeling. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because of the lighting or the shaders or what it is, but I do know that, to me, they look plasticky and I don't like it. But even if the next Halo title has the highest visual fidelity we've ever seen in a Halo game, that doesn't mean the game's going to be good. And that also doesn't mean it's the best looking Halo game either. Like, even though a game like Halo Infinite might have much more detailed textures and higher polygon counts, a lot of people still agree that Halo 3 is a much better looking game. So just because a game has higher visual fidelity, that does not mean it's a better looking game than a game with lower visual fidelity. And while we're talking about visuals and Unreal Engine 5 and detailed environments, there is something I want to bring up. And this is one of my biggest concerns about Halo being built in a different engine, an engine like Unreal Engine 5, which is capable of producing impressive, highly detailed visuals. And this concern has to do with collision meshes. And for those who don't know, collision meshes are what give objects and geometry in the world collision, so that you can bump into things, you can stand on things. Without the collision mesh, you would theoretically just walk right through these pieces of geometry. And one of the things that I really love about the older Halo games is that it seemed like, for the most part, there might be some exceptions to this, I'm sure, but for the most part, the collision meshes in the older Halo games were very precise. Like, Bungie did a really good job at matching the collision mesh with the geometry in the game. And because of this, there might be small little ledges, small lips tiny pieces of geometry in the older Halo games that you can actually interact with. Like you can bump into it, you can stand on it. And some of this can be very beneficial and can allow you to traverse the map in ways that you wouldn't be able to if these small pieces of geometry didn't have collision. Now, I'm not saying the collision meshes in the older Halo games perfectly match the geometry, and I'm not saying that in the later Halo games there's not examples of tiny pieces of geometry that have collision on them. But in the later Halo games, I've noticed way more invisible barriers where it looks like you should be able to jump on a ledge or bump into an object, but you can't because it's an invisible barrier there. Or you just phase through that small piece of geometry that you see. That's something I see more in the later Halo games. But in the earlier Halo games, there are so many tiny pieces of geometry that you can interact with, and I love that. And I could talk about this for a while, but just to show you a few examples of what I'm talking about, it's things like this little ledge at the top of Foundry. You can actually stand on this. In later Halo games, there might have been an invisible barrier here, preventing you from standing on it, or maybe there would be no collision on the ledge and you would just phase through it. On the map Ghost Town, there's this tiny piece of geometry protruding from this catwalk, and you can actually make this jump from Snipe to the catwalk by landing on this tiny piece of geometry because it has collision. Like you can sit on that tiny piece there. I love that. There's a bunch of examples in the later Halo games where there will be geometry where it looks like you can interact with it. It looks like you could jump into a space or jump on something or bump into something, but you can't because there's either no collision on it or an invisible barrier. On the map Guardian, you can make the Gold 1 to Gold 2 jump because of this little lip right here. Lockout from Halo 2, there's a bunch of doorways around the map and you can actually stand on and jump off at the top of them. And that allows you to traverse the map in fun and interesting ways where you wouldn't be able to if you couldn't stand on top of these doorways. That's just a few examples, but there are many more than that. And so I wonder if 343 takes advantage of Unreal Engine 5 in a way where they are trying to create these highly detailed environments. How accurate are the collision meshes going to be? Are they going to use more simplified collision meshes that don't match the geometry as good as the collision meshes did in the older Halo games? I mean, there's a lot of simpler geometry in the older Halo games, so it makes sense that it would be easier to have more precise collision meshes with simpler geometry than it is in highly detailed environments. I get that. But most of the time, if not all of the time, I would rather have simpler geometry, lower fidelity visuals, with more precise collision meshes than highly detailed environments with inaccurate collision meshes. Like if you look at this image here that 343 put out of an environment in Unreal Engine 5, and you look at these cliffs in the background, you can see a ton of detail there. There's a bunch of different grooves and crevices and trees. And I wonder, with a detailed cliff like that, how precise is the collision mesh gonna be? Because it is a very common thing in game development to apply a simplified collision mesh to highly detailed geometry. Like that's not like a rare thing at all. And doing so can help improve performance and be a lot less time consuming. And I would really hate it if I'm playing a Halo game with highly detailed environments, but the collision meshes aren't very precise and there's a bunch of invisible barriers everywhere or geometry that I'm just phasing through because there's no collision on it. And if you look at cliffs in older Halo games, they're obviously more simplified, less detail than what we see in this Unreal Engine 5 image. And because of that, it is easier to apply a more precise collision mesh to that. And like I explained, I would prefer that over the more detailed environments with less precise collision meshes. So that is a concern that I have about Halo in Unreal Engine 5. And that's not a concern that I've heard anyone bring up from what I can remember. And if it does turn out that a future Halo game has these really impressive, highly detailed graphics with inaccurate collision meshes, then that could turn out to be something a lot of people hate and ultimately hurt the game. But anyways, I think that's going to do it for this one. Those are my thoughts on the future of Halo. I'm not really hopeful about the future of Halo. Halo could die, it could thrive. At this point, I don't really care. Would it be nice to have another good Halo game? Yeah, it would. But at the same time, if Halo just dies off, at this point, it's just whatever. And I would love a new good Halo game, like a game that is as good or better than the older Halo games. I've recently gone back and played the original Halo 2, original Halo 3, original Halo Reach, and I've been having so much fun playing the original games. Yes, I know there's MCC, but the original games are very different than the games in MCC. I'm not going to get into that in this video. We could save that for a separate video, but they are very different, and I enjoy the original games significantly more than their MCC counterparts. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. That's it for this one. See you on the next one. Peace.